I see
I
you
am
on. I see
currently.
you on. There you are. I can hear you.
Okay.
What are you drinking?
Agua.
You know, so I got to interview Jocko's team, Jocko Willink, and they said, "Oh, we got this new flavor." And we were talking about all the Jocko products, and they just sent me a box of all of this stuff, and I was like, "That was cool.
What
That
is
was
it?
cool."
What kind of
Uh,
drink is it?
this one's it's called Real Energy Zero Crash Pink Lemonade.
Huh.
So the head of their department for creating all of the health stuff, he tries to make sure that it's all as healthy as possible because Jocko hates putting crap in his body.
Hmm.
So I've been testing it out. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now that we're live into the groups, into YouTube, if you're following on YouTube, subscribe. We're going to be talking about YouTube and podcasts. And for some people are like, are podcasts even relevant? Are they alive anymore? Jeff, where do we start with this, man?
Well, the answer is yes. The question is, how are you going to use them? And as I've looked through this article and I was looking through the YouTube podcast page, I think the question is, how will it be relevant to the masses?
All right. I like that. I like that. Let's start there. I'm
And
gonna I'm gonna share a screen really quick. Let me see when you can see my screen. There it is. This is an article by Social Media Today. It's called YouTube's new podcast platform. And I'm going to scroll towards the middle of it because it really outlines the importance of why it's important. I'm going to read it to you. Jeff, you tell me what you think, okay?
Mhm.
Says the podcast destination page on YouTube helps users explore new and popular podcast episode shows and creators, as well as recommended podcast content. It's currently available in the US only, and we'll show you how it looks. We have access to it. And this is what they say. So it's very limited at present, but it's the next step in YouTube's podcast plans, which eventually provide another consideration for building your YouTube and podcast audience. Here's what I think happened, and you tell me if I'm right, if I'm wrong, or you don't give a damn. When they lost, when they lost Joe Rogan, it hit them because a lot of people were like me, were going on and watching it on YouTube. And now I watch it on Spotify. I still watch it on Spotify, and I listen to it on Spotify too. And so they don't want that to happen. They want it to they want people to go and listen and watch and experience the whole process, whether it's visual or audio on YouTube. There's no reason that anyone should have to leave YouTube. And they're just making their case here and saying, hey, why would anyone want to leave? And I agree, man. It's such a powerful thing. They should have done this years ago. What do you think?
Yeah, so you're saying it's not just about the traditional YouTube videos, it's now shorts, and now we're going to add podcasts. But I guess my question would be, you're a bigger YouTuber than I am. What's the difference? So why is this different than, let's just say, the Lab Coat Agents podcast that we already post to YouTube? Now, what's the difference between it going to the channel versus the podcast piece of YouTube, whatever the hell you want to call it? What's the difference?
Well, they're going to here's what it looks like on YouTube. Go to youtube.com/podcast. They're going to have a section specifically for podcasts so people can just listen in and have it all curated in one place. You no longer have to go through and wonder, hey, wait a second, is this in podcast already? They're taking that question out and saying, look, it doesn't matter if it is, you're going to find it here. And what they were finding, what YouTube was finding, I think, is that people like me were gravitating to outside of YouTube to listen to podcasts. And they're saying you don't need to. Even if you're just listening audio wise, you don't need to leave. Like, dude, where do you go to and listen to a podcast? Where do you go to?
I go to the Apple iTunes.
Me too. Either
Yeah.
that or Spotify. Those are the two places I
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
YouTube wants you to scratch that and say, hey, you know what? Just come to YouTube.
Yeah.
That's what they want to do.
One-stop shop.
Yeah.
Let's while we're on the topic, I mean, as you look through this, it's a lot of, it's Logan Paul, it's a lot of big names,
Yep.
so I think for a lot of people listening, they might be thinking to themselves, "Well, this isn't relevant to me because I'll never be that. Like, so how am I going to become relevant? Why is this relevant? How can this be relevant to my business? How can I make podcasts? Like, I get it why I shoot video and I get on TikTok and Instagram. I get that, but why does this matter to my business?" Or how can I make it matter to my business?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to niche content again, whether you do audio only or video. In this case, YouTube saying, hey, why don't you just do both? And we'll take care of showing it to people because Google owns us. So now on top of already showing your beautiful face, now you make a podcast on YouTube and you have a description, you make a blog out of it. There's a lot of things you can do when it comes down to this. And you know who else was paying attention?
Go on.
Twitter.
Twitter.
Here we go. Twitter rolls out podcasts in the Spaces tabs, expanding its audio content focus. Dude, while everybody's paying attention to video, all of a sudden people are like saying, hey, don't forget about podcasts because there's a lot of people listening to content because they can't watch it. And a lot of people are back to work, right? So they have breaks where they have to be able to listen. A lot of people are driving to work. A lot of people are mobile and they
Yeah.
can't always be watching. So that's your opportunity to niche down and create content that people can listen to.
It's just another representation that the platforms are trying to get their users to stay there for more stuff
Yeah,
at the
look
end
at
of the
this. The idea here, it says this article, the idea here being that the expanded selection will improve Spaces discovery. That's Twitter Spaces,
day.
which
Mhm.
has been a key problem for the platform because while giving everyone the opportunity to conduct their own audio broadcasts in the app, it's an added benefit. The downside is that a lot of those streams will end up being low quality. So they're concerned as well. Same idea, right? Let's keep everybody here in one place. How do we get a link for which copy? If you're looking for this specifically, this link, we'll post it inside of the group in a little bit. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll dump it into the description. But if you want to take a look at what YouTube is doing, just type in youtube.com/podcasts and you'll find it right there. The reason that Jeff and I are really telling you this is so that you don't think that podcasts are dead. Companies like YouTube, which is the number one social media outlet in the world, are doubling down on podcasts. That means that if you haven't started one, or if you're thinking of doing one, if you're doing one and you're like thinking, am I doing enough? You're not doing enough. Go jump on a podcast, do more, add video, splice it up, add it to the YouTube podcast channel, and go deeper. That's the
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. Well, and like we always say, if an app is adding some new feature, use the feature. That's the moral of the story. And if anybody wants an idea, if you're not sure what to create a podcast about because no one's going to be Joe Rogan or Logan Paul, use a podcast as a way to have conversations with high level people that you want to have conversations with, that you want to learn from, that could be potential clients down the road in your market. Use a podcast to selfishly, and then as the byproduct of it is you're putting out content because you're having a conversation with somebody about a local business or about a strategy or about something. And there's a lot of ways to do this, and a lot of times podcasting, you're not probably going to go viral and monetize that way, but you're going to be creating relationships with people, because when you ask somebody, hey, can I get 60 minutes of your time to pick your brain, the answer is 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, no. But if you go to somebody and say, hey, would you like to be a guest on my podcast? What you're really saying is, can I get 60 minutes of your time to pick your brain? And you just twist it into a podcast format, and bam, all of a sudden you're having conversations with high level people that you were never having conversations with before.
Agreed, man. Agreed. All right, that's all I got. Anything else?
Cool. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, everybody.